Hey, y'all. I've got some great news for you. There's an election coming up that you may have heard about, and it's a pretty big one. So, what we are going to do is rather than put our normal Stay Human podcast Tuesday time slot in the schedule, we are going to put it up on Sunday. So, the next Stay Human podcast will be on Sunday before Election Day so that you can just leave all your eyes and ears on the outlets to see the results of the election. And this is also a reminder, make sure you registered and make sure you vote. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's me here, Michael Franti, and welcome to this episode of the Stay Human podcast. I have some very, very, very important guests with me today who are really people who are out there changing the world and really working to make a difference every day in the lives of every single person in America. And after the tragic death of their son Joaquin, Patty and Manny Oliver turned to art and activism to ensure their son's voice stayed in the forefront of the gun violence prevention movement. They founded Change the Ref to ensure that all of the lives lost to gun violence are never forgotten and that real change happens in the United States. So please welcome Patty and Manny Oliver. Hey, you guys. Hi. It's great to see you. I feel just honored to be in your presence again because over the last couple of years, we've seen each other in quite a few places. It's been a really, really crazy year this year in 2020. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, it would be hard to imagine the way that your guys' lives have changed, but now we multiply that by 2020. And it's just really, really insane. So before we get into anything else, just explain to me what Change the Ref is.
Sure. Thank you for this invitation. Every time we see you, I just want to say something first. Every time we see you, something good is going on.
Okay.
and that's cool because we see a lot of people several times and not always something good is going on. But it's either because we're in a video sharing some music or we're doing an event or we're just chilling and enjoying life. So I noticed that while you were doing your presentation. Change the Ref, it's an organization that we started after losing Joaquin. Joaquin was shot and killed in Parkland, in the Parkland shooting. And our background, totally not a status quo background. We were doing a lot of creative stuff. I'm an artist myself. So we decided to somehow respond to this in a different way, being who we are, okay, not changing a thing. And started with art. The name came from Joaquin. Joaquin mentioned a couple of weeks before the tragedy that he used to play basketball a lot, and he was not happy with the referee in one game. And he told me that we should change that ref because he was not fair in the game. Actually, Joaquin thought that ref was receiving money from the other team. So when we saw the tragedy and what happened, and later on how the NRA and the gun manufacturers and the gun industry somehow give money to these campaigns so nothing happens, so we don't have that fair game, the analogy was perfect. We were able then to start a movement that will represent what Joaquin said, what Joaquin was concerned about, and in addition to the artistic and creative background that we had already. So we've done a lot, I would like to think that way, and everything it's been without precedent. I mean, we attract the kids a lot. The kids love what we do. It's very related to music, to art, to cool. Being the guy with the gun is not the cool guy anymore. That's the message. And we're using the advertising industry to help us deliver that message.
I want to backtrack a little bit. So for most people, most Americans, they would find it very, very difficult to imagine losing a child to gun violence. Yet it's happened more and more and more and more each year. And I want to just go back a little bit and just talk about what your life was like when you were growing up. Did you tell me about how you grew up, and was there ever any fear in your life of going to school and not coming home? So Patty, what was your childhood like? Where did you grow up, and how was it for you?
You know that we are from Venezuela, and I grew up in a second biggest city of the country, that is Maracaibo. Really, it was a very normal childhood. My school was okay. Everything was okay. So we never feel, I don't remember my parents feel in fear to be sending me to my school or to my after school classes or being on the street, because at that moment, everything was quite normal, I'm already 53, so at that time, everything was fine. So I don't recall anything close to that. Not even in my high school years, not even in my middle school years. I came from a regular home. My parents got divorced when I was 12. Then we moved to Caracas, which was the capital city. Really, everything was normal. So, as a big city as Caracas is a metropolitan city, you can say that there is danger around. You have to be careful when you walk, but nothing close to be scared about going to school. Never. So, in fact, I grew up in a way that I was very confident about being anywhere.
And when did you come to America?
We came here 17 years ago on August 3rd. I remember that really well because the day after, August 4th, is when Joaquin turned 3. So we have been here for 17 years sharp. So when we got here at that time, everything was okay. So we were looking for, to live a better life, because Venezuela started getting complicated, and we were just looking to be, to have that balance that we were missing in Venezuela. So when we got here, we decided to move here because we were recommended that the schools were really good. So we're very well ranking. So everything was normal. I remember that, at that point that you can hear on the news, you can listen to the news, that there were regular, episodes happening, but nothing as dramatic as it started going on through the years. Because I remember when Virginia Tech happened, or when the Sandy Hook happened, or I don't know, there are so many that I lost track. But I remember a couple of times that Andrea, that is our oldest, was at school, and she just let us know that she was on lockdown because there was something going on. But maybe someone that didn't know that it was a school, that a strange person inside the school. But nothing even close to what happened to Joaquin. So it is really hard to understand that we got in this situation, that the country is going through this situation.
Manny, when you grew up, were you always interested in art? Was art always a passion for you, or when did that come into your life?
Not really. I was always very curious about building things with my hands. That I remember when I was a kid. My dad was an engineer and my mother a photographer. So there was a lot of influence directly from. And then I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm the youngest. So there was always someone to learn from. My brothers had motorcycles, so they used to fix the motorcycles. Then I got involved in that. So I guess that I never went to art school, but I always had that need of creating things. I never thought that it will be, the end will be creating what I create today. Before this happened, I had an amazing job as a creative director for Joe Bonamassa. And that was awesome. I was doing what I like in a nice environment. But now, today, I think that all that was a training process for what I do today. My life wanted me to be here doing what I do. Joaquin needs me to do this. So the mission changed, not the human. I'm the same guy without my son, trying to find ways to keep on going with my son and change the mission to something way more important.
Mm-hmm. So let's fast forward a little bit now. So you guys came to America. You guys are living this life that seems very normal, and you guys are all doing really well. And Joaquin is thriving in school, and he's playing sports and he's interested in music and all these things. And did you ever have any inkling that something like this could happen in Parkland? Was this even in your spectrum at all?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't think anybody went, well, maybe when you live in certain areas, but talking about Parkland, precisely, this is a very quiet community. So it's a very small town, Parkland. So when we were surrounded by parks and you're surrounding in this small community that what you share is just with your neighbors and your new friends when you go to these games, because Joaquin was the one who introduced us to the community really, because he was the one who was involved in. So he started playing baseball when he was 7 years old, 6 to 7. And he played baseball for 7 years. Then in those years, he decided to start playing soccer and basketball. So there was a moment that we were going to 3 different games and we have to pick to which game we're going to be going. So that was the community. That was the way we lived. So interacting with people, going to nice and quiet and relaxed places. We no fear that someone is going to come through you and is going to do something crazy that happened.
Which is actually a mistake, because we thought, this community is like many communities in terms of everything that Patricia just described is very the American sweet dream coming true, right? But in reality, the fact that we ignored that this could happen in Parkland, it's our fault. Because I remember Joaquin telling me, very upset and very concerned about what happened, that someone had been shooting people in Vegas randomly in a country music concert. And then I remember Joaquin being concerned about Paul's nightclub. So we had those conversations. At some point, Michael, you are part of the problem by ignoring the facts that America is. It's a random situation. It's like hitting the jackpot. It could happen here again. It's not that it's not going to happen here anymore because it already happened. It could happen here again. But the big difference now is that, and this is how we react to this, whoever is listening to your podcast now has no excuse, because we are letting them know that it could happen again. We never had a podcast like this one before February 14th. We never heard this. And I think that's where the main change is coming after Parkland. There's a lot of communication about the risk getting out there and being part of that 100 people that every single day will lose their lives against gun violence.
Mm-hmm. So take me to that morning when Joaquin got up that morning and went to school, and what happened that day?
He was very happy. It was Valentine's Day, and I remember for some reason I remember like an extra effort on looking good, right?
He took a shower in the morning.
He
doesn't need to take showers every morning.
Yeah, like a neat T-shirt. Everything's nice. He grabbed the flowers that we bought the night before, and then his cell phone. I remember his headphones, of course.
And he wore perfume.
I used to make coffee for both of us, because I will be the ride to school. And we had the coffee and we got in the car and we went. He said bye to his mom. And then I love you. And then we went to school. And we got there. He said, I love you, Dad. I'll see you. And I asked him to call me once he gave those flowers to Tori, because I wanted to know the end of the story. And that's the last time that I saw my son alive, walking away from the car. I never got the call, and I saw him again 2 days later, laying down dead in the cemetery. There's the fact that he didn't call me, but Tori received those flowers before he was shot. And we always think that's a nice moment. I mean, he had the chance to give the flowers to the love of his life before getting shot. And then Victoria, Joaquin's girlfriend, who is very artistic with her hands, was able to do these beautiful things with the flowers. And And so, as you can hear me, we like to remember that side of the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the side of the story that we share. I understand there's a lot of panic inside, and we have said that before in other moments, but I want to share with you the nice side of that day, if there is such a thing.
So then there was 17 people who were killed, and how many injured? 34 injured, or
17 also. 34 in total.
34 in total. And then the media came and started to really, I feel, look at this story in a different way for a number of reasons. One of the main reasons is that it wasn't a very, well-to-do place. It wasn't just some random place in the hood or some place. It was like, this was like normal America for most people who were watching TV. And these images started to come through of students speaking. I feel like it really touched people's hearts in a different way, in the same way that like the George Floyd murder has touched people's hearts in a different way. People have started to wake up to this. Since that time, you guys have really taken Joaquin's message and Joaquin's voice and try to just amplify the life that he was and shine that light and use that to explain to other people just how precious each person's life is, and that we really need to make substantive change in our country in order to fight gun violence. So let's talk about that. First of all, how you use art and the importance of art. And then secondly, what are the things that you guys are fighting for?
Well, it's more than art is Joaquin's statements. So this is what happens here. Joaquin was 17 years old when he was shot down. And we are early 50. We don't want to be precise on that information with Patricia. So she's early 50, okay? And so we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun so far. We decided that moving on, we will continue to live Joaquin's life, okay? The life that he's not able to live anymore. And that will also include the fact that we are along with Joaquin. Remember that we're parents and we refuse to stop being parents. We're not going to close the book and say, you know what? We were happy parents of this, a beautiful, amazing kid, but shit happens and we're not parents anymore. No, we are still the parents of Joaquin. Nothing will change that. And we now have to do things for Joaquin that are different than the things that we used to do for Joaquin. So that's why art, more than art, it's statements from Joaquin. Every single piece of art has a touch Joaquin, either by using his face, his thoughts, his intentions in life, his fights in life, all that together. And I think acting that way, you are expanding, you are prolonging Joaquin's life. And that's how people know Joaquin today, more than us. When they know Joaquin's name more than us, more than our name. That's so important.
And that's it.
It's about him. And that's what you do when you're a father. You save money to bring your kid to college. Well, that's not going to happen in our case. But we know Joaquin so well and how he was fighting for social justice, how he was involved in a few events for Black Lives Matter, how he was involved with equality. So we have to continue all that and send the message that this is Joaquin Oliver. This is what he will be doing today, and we are doing it for him. It's a way to hang out with your kid. Weird way to hang out with your kid, but we hang out with our kid every single day.
Well, in a different way, this is Joaquin all the way. The way we do things is the way that Joaquin is here with us in present. I feel Joaquin all the time. So Joaquin was really, really very demanding. So he always wanted to do something. He always wanted to say something. He always wanted to accomplish something. Whatever in the age that he was at that moment, he was always trying to get something done. whatever. I think in that way he's very like he's that, no? And pushing. So that's what we do today. What we do today is it seems like destiny is something that is really a reality because Joaquin left so many things in writing. They are so wise. Is the quotes that he did at that time that he blocked me on Twitter because I was the mom. So I was listening when this all happened that, oh my God, did you see what Joaquin wrote? Did you see what Joaquin wrote? No, I didn't. So I said, well, the only thing that I cannot see his Twitter is because maybe I'm blocked. And if that was real. So he blocked me. And until I wasn't blocked, I was able to see by myself everything that he wrote. And what he has in his notebooks, because he has everything in his place, in his room. And I was checking all his stuff. The few words, the descriptions, the thoughts that maybe he has at certain moments because he wasn't a good sleeper. So he grabbed his computer and he got things wrote on his computer. They were so deep.
It's like instructions. It's like,
really?
This is who I am. This is what I wanted in life.
I left it randomly everywhere, in different ways. And today, you can tell that we use a lot of quotes, like the poster I have behind me, that is a really new one. So that is his quote. And if you had the chance to watch Wackathon, and the coaches talking about him and the teachers talking about him, they all have the same point of view. Joaquin was like an old soul. He was beyond his age.
I remember one day that Joaquin asked me that out of nowhere, that how do you want to be remembered? Oh, I don't know, like a cool dad and like a cool grandpa for your kids. That was my answer. But then I asked him back, hey, how do you want to be remembered? And he said, I want to be remembered in a huge way, big, like Mandela, like Lennon, like those big guys out there. So like Ali.
I want to be big.
And I grabbed that in my head. And at that moment, it was cool. I mean, your kid really wants to get out there. He never mentioned money or anything. He mentioned power. He mentioned influence. These are the guys that he mentioned. And now we're making sure that happens.
So now let's talk about the state of our country. I mean, we've had this conversation before about just how frustrating it is to see these events happen over and over and over and over again. And it's the same story. The politicians come out, they say the same speeches. People from NRA come out, they say the same speeches, and nothing changes. And here we are now in this time of, COVID, the Black Lives Matter movement, which is which I have been saying for a long time is on the edge of there being a massive gun violence incident. I mean, we've seen the shootings that have taken place, but I mean, it could be so much worse, so many more lives lost. And we're really close to that. What do we do? How do we fix this? What are the next steps? I mean, I know this is a journey, but what are the next steps for people?
I think we should start by understanding what happens here and what has been happening for decades. What is happening is that we have a very powerful gun industry that has been able to buy politicians so they don't change the game. That's the reality here. The laws are not made for the people, they're made for corporations. So there's always, the benefit is only going to these big corporations. So, and on the other side, it's been considered a cool thing. We keep saying, this is the greatest nation in the world. There's a lot of arrogance in the regular American. We believe that we're stronger, we are wide, and we have guns. So no one's going to fuck with us because we are the greatest nation in the world. So, we know that there's a lot of great nations out there with better food, with better gun laws, with less COVID-19 victims. There's a lot. And they're not saying they're the greatest nation in the world. So we have a problem of being very arrogant, not only our leaders, but ourselves. And that needs to be changed. But you cannot change it in 1 or 2 years. I think we need to create a new narrative. The creative industry, the advertising industry needs to get involved with us, with people like you, like me, like Patricia, and start sending that message that the kids want. The young American today is different than the generation before them. They are concerned about the planet. They are concerned about energy. They are concerned about gun violence. And we need to understand that if we go along with that, with the right message, using the right communication skills that we have, in a few years, the regular American will think different. And hopefully they will also think different about us. People fucking hate us because everything that I told you. We're not the kind human being that is out there helping and supporting the weak. No, we are the individual that is chasing for money its all life. So you can accomplish more and more things, and that gives you power. And that's a total mistake, because it will never represent being happy or progress in any way. But it's a slow process. It's not going to happen in 2 days. At some day, politicians will understand this is what we want. And if you are able to give us that, then we'll vote for you. Otherwise, we're going to be voting you out. It's a social problem.
So that's the social side of it. And now what is the policy side of it, Patty? What are the things that you guys are trying to focus on from a policy perspective?
Well, you know that we don't do political things. We do more social justice and actions. So what we try to do through our movement is to empower, to make those right policies, make it happen. So we push them, we grab, we attract, and mostly our kids. So I am very confident that we're going to get there, because the new generation is understanding that what we have today is not the right thing. It's not that we have to change 100%. We just adjust, reforms, And in that way, that's what we act. So we give the information, we support where some others, lawmakers, planting are saying about what we have to do, what we have to reform. And then I think that is our best way to make it happen.
And there's a few regulations that we can name one after the other that we're looking for. Like I would love to make sure that everyone understands what the Second Amendment was written for. But that's impossible, okay? You have your own way of reading it. I have my own way of reading it. There's no way to get rid of it. I would love to get rid of it, but there's no way to get rid of it. But we need regulations for those guys who decided to carry a weapon, an AR-15 or a handgun. And those regulations could be from banning large capacity magazines. That should be a must. Banning assault weapons like an AR-15. You don't need to carry that. You don't need it. Why do you need that other than showing that you are powerful than us?
Yeah, the background check.
Safe storage, universal background check. Certification. I have 2 motorcycles in my garage. Every single year, I need to go to an office and register my 2 motorcycles so they know where they are, who owns them, what color they are, and who's able to drive them or not. If I hit someone with my motorcycle, I'm in big trouble. They can sue me. And if it was my fault, I will end up in jail. So this is the land of regulations. They ask for things for everything, almost everything. You're going to buy beer in a gas station, you have to show your ID. Everything needs to be regulated. However, guns, they're not. And with the argument that this is the land of freedom and I need to protect myself, at the end of the day, we are all protecting from each other. So it's a perfect storm again. They were able to sell guns to everyone, so you can protect from that guy. And then that guy will protect from you. Why? The guys were friends before. And even if they were not friends, they're not going to shoot each other. So it's a big mess.
Yeah, regulations is the best way, I think, to say it, to make people understand, because when we start having this kind of conversation, people just think about, do you want to take my guns away? When I said that. So let's make this clear. We need regulation. What we have in the Second Amendment, I don't think that they say, okay, you can grab whatever is in front of you. You can go to any gun store and get whatever. No. that can be right. That is not there. It doesn't say that. So that's what is very important, to be persistent, because this is a social and cultural problem, and people is very conservative. So we are seeing different attitudes in this way. My confidence is that the youth is the one that is connected to make a difference. And I have a lot of kids surrounding us, because we mostly work with them, that most of their parents are conservative, and they are the opposite. So they have that conflict at home. So they do a different thing what they used to see as an example. So that's a good sign that you as a human being understands that you have to make a difference.
Things are changing. There's a new moment in life in America, and the kids know it better than us. Because it's about their future. We won't be here. They're going to have to deal with whatever we decide to fix or not today. So we better get on board or move apart. And we're on board.
Yeah, and the new generation is really amazing. So I don't remember me at that age being so connected to those issues that for sure when I was 16 and 17, they were there, and I wasn't connected to that. So I was having a regular teenage years, with no that knowledge, or with no sensitivity of what's going on surrounding me. That is the reality. Kids now are amazing. So that's what I'm very confident about it.
Yeah. We have a really super important election coming up, maybe more important than we've ever had in our country. What's your message to voters, or what's your message to maybe non-voters who have never voted before, who are frustrated with the system, who are seeing the same things happen again in terms of gun violence, in terms of racism, in terms of healthcare, in terms of so many issues that people care about, the environment, and maybe they feel apathetic. They just don't feel like, man, my vote matters. What's your message to them?
To make it simple, I think that we need to vote against division. Division, it's the new thing that is happening. When Patricia said that things were not that bad before, I think that is exactly part of it. Since the last 4 years, we see a lot of division, a lot of people that won't stand being next to the other one just because the hat you're wearing or not wearing a mask, and you refuse to do that because you're following a leadership that is based on separating people and not unifying the country so we can solve problems better. And I don't have to say who you need to vote for to accomplish that. Division is not going to help us get to where we need to get. We need unity. And that is an easy goal. Unity is an easy goal. It's just about who you elect as the president for the United States on November 3rd. And then we can start working on every other thing that we are concerned and then we need to work on, because there's going to be more empathy between people. When I say that we need regulations for the guns out there, that applies to everyone. That applies to every single race. It's going to be a benefit for all of us. Those kids that have Republican parents, they will also be safer once these regulations get out there. So division is blocking those agreements to be part of the discussion.
Yeah, to me, what I can tell you is that we have to stop blaming others, that we have the right to go out and vote. So there's no excuse from any of us to say, I am tired. Well, I am tired too. Or it's going to happen the same thing. Well, it's going to happen the same thing. Why? Because if you're going to take that attitude, it's going to happen the same thing. So we have our tool in our hands. So the call to action here is go out and vote. Stop blaming others that they are doing their things. You have to do yours first. And you have to go out and vote and raise your voice in that way to make a difference.
And voting is not an action that you go ahead and vote and then go back home.
No.
You're going to see us on November 4th doing the same thing that we're doing today. And on November 5th, and again, forever. So thinking different or thinking of something is not solving the problem. You have to put an action on your thought. We want this to happen. Okay, I'm going to do this and that to make it happen. So the action after voting is as important as voting itself. Get involved in your decision. It's about the future of your kids. What is it more important than that? I'm telling you, there is nothing more important than that.
And if you want to see it very simple, those candidates are looking for a job. So you're giving them the chance to be going and get that position that they are looking for. So you have to be very demanding in what each of them are offering you in order for you to be better, because you are hiring them in a way. So we need to get that vote with a lot of consciousness, because that is going to depend on what you think that is right for you and your family and your country and your community to be better tomorrow. And do the follow-up, because you are hiring those people. So it's not that the end is, as Monchi says, on November 3rd. So then you have to follow up. What's going on? Okay, what are you doing? So go there and then go and do raise your voice again and do a protest or do a poster or make a tweet, whatever. But you have to be there. We have to be proactive.
Thank you guys so much. I got one last question that I ask everybody who's on the podcast. And the name of the podcast is the Stay Human Podcast. And you were talking about unity just a moment ago. And being human is the one thing that unites all of us. And I'd like to hear from each of you. What does it mean to you to be human? But also, how do you stay human? How do you hold on to your humanity when things just seem so challenging?
Wow. I think that in our case has an extra challenge. How do you wake up in the morning and keep on moving, right? After the person that you love the most is not here anymore. I think there's a lot of faith in not only in God, but in yourself, that you can do good as long as you get out there, wake up and do something. Otherwise, you won't be able to. And acting good is probably the best way of humanity, getting to know more people and understanding their problems and their issues. And in our case, that we can influence others, make sure that we let everybody know what's going on one side or the other. Listen, we like to think that we are doing the right thing. We like to think that we are on the side where the good people is. And I think that we need to bring more and more people to this side. There's evil people out there. I'm not ignoring that fact. That's true. But we shouldn't let them make the decisions that will affect the collective of society. We need to be there humanizing people.
Well, for me, to be staying human is something that is so easy because I love people. I am a people person. Being always trying to help others to feel good, to feel confident. So if I can bring confidence to others, I feel good. We are in this, and that's what I said at the beginning, we are more social activists than any other thing. We welcome anybody. We don't see where you belong. We don't see what do you like. We just see the passion that you can have to make a better tomorrow. So we welcome every single one through we get our text or through Facebook or through any social platform besides the emails that we get. We welcome those people that is looking to do something different. And we open our arms and we open our hearts. And in a way, we try to make people feel good and loved and they matter, because I think that the lack of love that is out there is part of a lot of problems we have. So we cannot see a guy screaming and blaming others and making people feel very bad. No, forget about that big guy that is giving that example. Is what you have in your heart is so valuable, is so big that you have to share it. And if we have the chance to be together and share it and show that we need that to be really humanizing the world, well, let's do it. So that's why we open our arms, we open our soul, we open our heart, and Joaquin was like that. So we are that. We always be. Joaquin is a good example. To finish this, I can just tell you one thing that happened to me yesterday. One girl from Australia sent email asking me, what was the favorite music that Joaquin likes it, because I'm going to turn 18 and I want to play part of the music that he likes. And, she's a girl from Australia. And I love that Joaquin has these seeds, growing everywhere. Seeds of love, because what do you get through music? What do you get through those posts that they say that, like they say, my love for the word and the knowledge is infinitive. So that was a quote from Joaquin, and that's what it means to be with us as Change the Ref.
That's awesome. You guys are so inspiring, and I love spending time with you, even though we're on other sides of the world right now. I feel your guys' love, your commitment, your energy, your passion, and I share it with you. And I do really believe that we are on a turning point in so many issues, but especially on this one of gun violence. There's so many young people who have woken up to it, who are out there every day raising their voices. Their parents are starting to hear. The politicians are starting to be put on notice that they're going to lose their job and they're not going to be hired back unless they support the people. And so if people want to support you and your efforts and the efforts of Joaquin, where can they go to you? How can they find out more information? Where could they donate?
We are always out there, changetheref.org. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have all possible platforms. We do rely on donations to do our campaigns and make things happen. And we're always open to hear new ideas and bring more and more people to work along with us, not only to see what we do, but to be part of what we do.
Well, thanks for being on the Stay Human podcast today. That's Patricia and Manny Oliver in body and in voice, but they're really delivering the message of their son, Joaquin. And thank you so much for being here today on the Stay Human podcast. And I look forward to just keeping up with the work you guys are doing and trying to amplify Joaquin's voice in any way that I can. So thanks for being here today. And we'll see you next podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Take care.
Thank you so much.
We love you, buddy.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much.